All right, let me cut across now to the big story that's grabbed national headlines, the Malegaon case. 17 years after the Malegaon blast, Special NIA Court in Mumbai has now acquitted all 7 accused, including BJP MP Sadhvi Pragya and Lieutenant Colonel Prasad Purohit, giving them the benefit of doubt. The court has said that prosecution failed to establish any concrete link between the accused and the crime itself. And mind you, this is 17 years later a verdict like this comes out. There was no proof, according to court, that Purohit sourced RDX or that Sadhvi Pragya, former BJP MP, owned that bicycle which was used in that blast. Now, the court also raising questions on the number of people injured in the case, saying only 6 were dead. But reports initially did say that hundreds of them were injured, 6 people had died was confirmed, but here the court saying the actual details of the case was all over the place. Now, giving it context, this is what the context is, that Sadhvi Pragya and Colonel Purohit and the others, 7 others, are all not guilty. The blast in Malegaon, which happened in a communally sensitive town in Maharashtra, where a blast took place near a mosque during the holy month of Ramzan in 2008. It killed 6 people, injured over hundreds, but the verdict has reignited many reactions from the opposition. Now, 17 years later, a verdict like this coming out, AIMIM leader Asaduddin Owaisi slamming this, saying that this is deeply flawed and concerning, saying that this is hypocrisy in tackling terrorism. Now, Asaduddin Owaisi says, if at all military-grade RDX was used, where did it come from? If the real culprits are currently roaming free, doesn't the country have the right to know who actually carried out the Malegaon blast? And also questioning the centre, the Modi government and the Maharashtra government, if they will challenge the acquittal in the Supreme Court or will continue with what he calls hypocrisy on terrorism. Now, this was a case that gave rise to the Hindu terror debate at that point. Now, it seems like with the acquittal here, that theory is debunked, at least to the face of it. Let me take you through a little more in detail. RVS Mani, who is joining us, former Undersecretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking to News 9. Your take on this, a quick word on the first response after Malegaon verdict.
Basically, I had expected this. I knew that it was not a very straightjacket, strong case. Things were manipulated, facts were manipulated, and the narrative was thought to be given up during those days of UPA, where you had seen it in Samjhauta blast. You had seen it in Makkah Masjid blast, few many other places. They put Hindus in prison for basically Muslims or whatever Pakistanis committing terror attacks in the India. They were, in a sense, I would put it in the perspective, they were incentivizing the Pakistani POK groups, terror outfits with their foot soldiers, either whether Indian or Pakistani, we do not know. They were doing it to put Hindus so that they get a sense of security, that I can continue to do terror attacks in India because I won't be caught, some Hindu will be put behind the bar. It happened in several other cases. It happened in Ishrat Jahan case. It happened in Samjhauta blast case. So there was a rogue government which was trying to appease a particular minority. I do not know whether it was appeasing the Indian Muslims or it was simply appeasing their friends in Pakistan. Because see, you go to the parliament website, all the parliament replies, it very clearly, it has the approval of the Union Home Minister. All the replies to the parliament have been said, POK-based ISI-sponsored outfits are creating terror incidents in India. This is a very universal reply in all the around thousands of the, in 7 years of time, there were thousands of questions answered and thousands of in both the houses of
Mr. Mani, 17 years for a verdict like this to come out. What explains that? The judge says no credible link at all.
There was no credible link ab initio, but the question is, once a charge sheet is filed, once the process of investigation is initiated, that is the irony of our criminal justice system, that it takes so long and you miss the person who could have been a potential chief of army staff today. Was it a pattern? Was it a design to deprive one of the finest officers, intelligence and infantry and all those things combined together, a combination of outstanding virtue. The virtuous officer was denied from being go beyond. At the age of 32, let us see, at the age of 32, he was a selection grade lieutenant colonel. He would have traveled, had it had been unhindered, he would have traveled up to corps commander or a chief of army staff. We would have had him as a chief of army staff by 2030. That is what it has hurt. Where it hurt is, it is not just a Hindu being, it is basically, I have also said in several places, that even the 2611 was a fixed match between the Indian National Congress and the ISI. This is also a fixed match. Who were they placating? Because if you rely upon the parliament questions, information placed with the approval of the ministry alone, you can very clearly make out that they were terror attacks happening, and the terror attacks people, they wanted to save the real perpetrators of terror, so they would put Hindus, and it was a vicious circle. Every terror attack, a Hindu, a Samjhota blast, Asim Anand is put behind the bar. They will say, okay, go and do the second terror attack in Makkah Masjid. Makkah Masjid also, it was a religious place where the attack took place again. A very prominent masjid in 2017, May 18th May or so. There also, Hindus were put behind the bar. Thereafter, he was acquitted.
So you're saying basically there is no concept of Hindu terror.
It was never there. It was never there. What yesterday Honorable Home Minister had said, Hindus cannot be terror. The concept of Hindu terror, I don't know who conceived it. Yeah, we know because I have written
Asaduddin
it in my book.
Owaisi, firing from Asaduddin Owaisi's shoulders, this is what he says. The person who killed Mahatma Gandhi, was he Chinese?
See, he had a different agenda. Was he a terrorist? Had he undergone a terror training somewhere? It was an immediate provocation over repeated persecution or whatever context. But he was certainly not a terrorist. Godse, whatever, I may respect him, I may not respect him, I may agree with him, I may not. But you cannot classify him as a terrorist. That is what the...
So you cannot classify Hamas a terrorist organization? Can you classify Hamas?
Hamas is very much a terrorist organization. Hamas is a very much terrorist organization.
They are fighting for their land, Palestine.
What are they fighting for? Palestine, you don't kidnap young children and get them, hold them hostage.
But you can kill Mahatma Gandhi and you're not a terrorist.
But Mahatma Gandhi was a one-off incident. What was the provocation? It could be a normal assassination, normal murder. Do you think, see, for example, I have been witness in several other cases. Even in a Bain Singh Association case, yes, the person who killed him had been a former militant of Babar Khalsa International. But the question comes in whether it was a terror act or it was a contract killing. That has not been answered yet. He has been languishing in jail for almost 30 years. So there are several cases. I have been a witness in Bain Singh Association case where this Avara and Rajona are still incarcerated. So these are all facts. Terrorism is something I knew at Mahatma Gandhi's assassination. Terrorism was not a theme. There was not a thing. And only in 1967, the first terror act, UAPA, in the original form, containing around 16, 17 sections.
I know you've written a book, The Myth of Hindu Terror. So you are sticking by your stand, and I really appreciate your thoughts on this. 17 years later, well, the fact is that all the 7 accused in the Malegaon case, including Pragya Thakur, have been acquitted. So that's that. Whether this will be appealed before the Supreme Court, we've got to wait and watch. But I really appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.